Okay, so this morning I changed out the flapper on my Kohler model Rosario 3434. The flapper top, this part broke. So that was easy enough. The only thing that you have to remember is to clean off the seat there at the bottom, because you see the ring here. This part became sticky and you have to clean up the drain seat. So the flapper will sit properly and make it not leak. So that was easy enough. The difficult part is, of course, you have to buy a spare in advance, and you have to know the model number. And the model number actually is inside the toilet here. You might not see it very well. It's 3434. So this is the flapper that you have to buy. Preferably you buy something OEM from Kohler, because probably the material used is better. This has a foam insert in there so that it will lift and stay floating when the water is draining into the drain tube there. So universal ones might work, but sometimes they don't. So buy original equipment if you can. And when you put the chain back on, make sure there's not too much slack. So you raise it, and when you raise it again, that rod is going to move up to almost to the lid of the tank. So you make sure that when you raise this, the flapper is pulled up. Otherwise, there won't be, it won't drain that well, and therefore won't flush that well. So that's the point. And when you give the chain slack, make sure the excess doesn't interfere with the closing of the flapper. Okay, so that was easy enough. And when you're doing this, try not to move the valve, this refill tube. Try not to move it too much, because then you might have to adjust the water level again. It's easy enough. There's a clamp here. If you want to adjust it, you press it and move it up and down to adjust the water level there. You can do that, but if you don't have to do it, then you better not do it. Okay, the problem I had previous to the flapper problem was this lever arm. I'll raise it and you can see. You see over here? This was the original eye hook. It broke. This is copper. I just have to make it focus better. So I drill a new hole. You can see here where the chain is. I drill a new hole there, so I don't have to buy another arm immediately. Otherwise I would have to go to Home Depot and pick up another arm. So this is the original that came with the toilet. This is like all copper. So I drill a new hole. I think I use either 1/16 very small drill bit. Use the smallest possible, because when you drill into the copper, it makes the copper is very soft, so the hole you end up with will actually be bigger. So use a small drill bit first. Otherwise, you will weaken this part here, and pretty soon this will break again. So if you don't want to buy a new crank or new lever, immediately, you can do that. Drill a hole here and it will work like new again. So that's the fun part that I had this morning. The first flush and the flapper was leaking. All right, before that flapper and the flush lever problem, I had problem with the leak here at the lead band. This goes up to the toilet there, and it was leaking here. This is the vent tube that is hooked up to the lead pipe here with solder. This is all solder, and this here where the lead pipe joins the cast iron drain pipe, this is what they call a lead wipe, and I had a leak here and at the top. Probably the house settled a little bit, or there's some movement and a crack developed here. So this is the major problem, because if you change this out, you have to remove the toilet upstairs. You have to take this section off and put in like a Fernco pipe adapter, like a neoprene rubber kind of thing, insert, and then you would have to, I don't know, in what the code is now, you might have to use the same kind of lead band, and that would be a major job. Anyway, so my temporary fix was to use epoxy. I used the JB Weld, the original one. They have one that is marine, but those are not, this is very liquid. This is like, it's like you can just fill it, right? And it will stick to it very good. The more bulky kind, they're not as pliable, especially when there's a trace of dampness in there. It won't stick to it that well. The messy kind will stick very well. So yeah, so for a temporary repair, it's working, right? Probably you would have to replace it, but hey. So this is a temporary repair, and that was a year ago. So it's still working, and who knows, when I sell the house eventually, 30 years from now, they will probably tear this thing out and rebuild it. So everything is temporary until it is gone. So this is the JB Weld that I use. Like I said, I have the water weld, but those are like a putty, and I don't think they work that well. The main thing is to make sure your solder pot, you scrape it clean with a wire brush and then dry it with a hair dryer to make sure that the adhesive will stick to it. And don't use your toilet for a couple of days, at least a day, so you give it time for the JB Weld to cure.